Happy 40th anniversary to the Alexandra Writers' Centre. Your commitment to creating a strong writing community in this province has been inspiring. Here's to another 40 years of support and encouragement to Alberta writers.
I published my first story through Free Fall magazine in 1993 when it was part of Alexandra Writers' Centre, and it was a great boost then, and it continues to be a great boost decades later.
I was able to come to the Writers' Centre and take classes, and it was the first time I'd ever sat in a room with other writers.
I saw some of the courses and I thought, oh, you know, this is a place I can go, I can take some courses, I can learn, I can build my skill set in sort of a formal way, because I didn't go to university for writing or for literature. But then when I got here, I realized the courses were great, but the more important thing to me was actually the community building. So being able to get in there, meet people, discover what I needed, and then also the opportunity to add to that.
I think just the fact that we have a space like this in the city where people from different backgrounds, different experiences can come and learn how to write and communicate with one another and share their stories is so powerful and so necessary.
So probably for about 20 years, I've been around with the Alexandra, first as a student and then as a teacher. And again, the big thing about the Alexandra Writers' Centre is the community, it's the people.
My social circle does not involve a lot of writers. And this is what the Alexandra Writers gave me, is a community of people who know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about going crazy for a plot, or when there's a story that just won't leave me. So this has become, you know, an important part of my life now.
Feeling of acceptance and inclusion. Us being of the population of the global majority, often we wonder where we fit. We're writers, we're poets, we're artists. Do we fit? AWCS says yes.
The biggest thing and the most important for me is that the mentorship and the community that's created here, where it feels like there are people who understand me or who are going to bring the best out of me.
I mean, the AWCS means a lot to me at this point. It's a majority of my social life as an online student, and a lot of the work I do that keeps me alive.
For me, the Alexandra Writers' Centre is all about about community. It's about finding the feathers of your birds that flock together, and then finding ways to flock in new and interesting directions.
AWCS is giving me a place where I feel included and I am able to express my creativity, just dealing with social issues that I have to overcome and finding people that I enjoy being around.
It means a community. It's a sense of community where a bunch of writers come together and we share our talents and we learn together and we create together, and that's what it means to me.
Well, happy anniversary, AWCS. That's awesome. The AWCS was like the first writing community I was ever a part of, where I felt like people like got me. But it's also kind of become a place where I can really like spread my own knowledge and like help people to have that community that I got to have when I was a kid.
Home away from home is kind of the best way to describe it. Since I was 9, I've been spending time at the various centers, like the different locations that we've been in. I mean, starting some programs, teaching some things, kind of growing up in the area. It's been nice. It's like a second family, I guess.
To do all sorts of activities, and you can talk to like other people and become friends with them. It's really exciting and fun to meet other people.
Since the day one, it's been amazing experience. I was a little nervous, I have to admit, but Wendy, my mentor, she gave me all those tools and insight I had to go throughout my 4-month experience, which was nothing but amazing. In the very end, I got a manuscript, and now I can say I'm on my way to publish my very first book.
Meant having a sense of community and being able to talk with other writers about what they're writing about, and what I'm writing about, and just sort of sharing ideas in a generally fun and crazy environment.
AWCS means a lot to me. It's been instrumental in my daughter's development. She began when she was in grade 8, I think, and is now a member of the board of directors and a very popular youth instructor. And it's also been super helpful for me as a writer and my growth as a poet. Several poems in my most recent chapbook were inspired by them, and I just wish them a happy birthday, and I'm so grateful for everything they do.
Hey!
Hey!
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, can hear you perfect.
I can hear you. You look great.
Thanks. I
Hear you
showered
great.
today.
I think I showered today, but I'm not certain now that I am having to say it out loud or confirm or deny.
Well,
whatever.
nobody has to know. Nobody has to know.
Things are harder these days, I feel like.
I know. You know, at least we're early. Nobody's here yet, so we have time to just, you know.
Okay, so are we we're on and we're just waiting for folks to come in, or is this a green room you're gonna flip off, or?
I know we're waiting for folks to come in. Usually they're here by now though. Like usually I have people showing up like 15, 20 minutes before the event, and then they can see everything that we're talking about. But so far this time it's nothing. So we'll just keep going until, and I have the waiting room on, so if people try to log in, I can see, and I'll be able to shut us down before anyone just magically shows up. So
are you going to do Q&As through like the chat function, or are we going to need to sort of be collecting them through like the question function, like the separate question box, and have those ready to go? Or
well, we're doing this just as a meeting, so the Q&A isn't up, so it's going to have to be through the chat. Maybe we can take turns, you know, while other people are reading, we can take turns kind of just going through the chat and making sure that we're not missing any potential questions, though I'm not sure that anyone's really going to have a ton of questions, because it's not like this is an information filled event. It's just, you know, celebratory for, you know, this beautiful book, right?
Oh my gosh, it's gorgeous.
Even matches my clothes.
Yes.
Right? I think I kind of did that on purpose, but you know.
I love it. I love it. Absolutely. It looks so slick and so sleek, and I'm excited to hear all these folks read tonight.
I know it's gonna be so awesome, and oh my god, we had to cancel this already once because we wanted to do it in person, and then like, oh, we had to like reschedule, and then of course we were like, well, it's probably gonna end up being on Zoom, so
yeah. Well, I mean, next year. I mean, it sucks because, you know, we won't like be in the room and be able to like, you know, see folks that we haven't seen in such a long time and just have that like kind of energy and like, you know, connection. But if I have to suffer through another digital event with anyone, it would be with you, Robin. And I'm excited to do it.
Oh, on that, actually, before we get started, this is good. I mean, I guess we can keep some people waiting in the waiting room. I wanted to do a song for you, and it's also very fitting for the anthology and for our anniversary. So I thought, you know, maybe if it works out, I could play it later, but for everybody. But I thought maybe I've been learning guitar. It's been my like COVID thing.
I was going to ask you, I have never, this is all new information to me. So congratulations on my COVID hobby has been starbursts. So this is, this is cool. Like the candy. Yeah. Not the cosmological phenomenon.
Not the cosmological phenomenon, which would be also very cool too. You could write about it.
But it's no guitar. Let me hear what you got. I'm excited.
Oh, but like also congrats on Bathhouse, hey? Like that's killing it.
Thank you. It's been wild.
Yeah, that's awesome. Anyway, I was about to say I wrote a song for you, but I did not write this song. It is not original.
For me? I thought this was for the show.
Well, it's kind of both, and you'll understand why in a second. Right? Are you ready? You could even potentially sing along because I guarantee you've heard the song before.
Okay, I will try.
Nobody's here yet. All right. I'm not very good though, so I'll probably screw up, but I'll at least try to get to the end. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
Okay.
Happy birthday.
Oh, I screwed up. All right, let me start over.
You're throwing off my pitch.
You're
throwing off my pitch.
Okay, we'll try again. Hold on.
Happy birthday to you. To you.
I got that one wrong. Hold on. Where was I? Here, I'll just start with this last one. You get the point.
Happy birthday, AWCS. Sure. I'm white knuckling my way to you. Ah!
But it's also your birthday, so happy birthday.
Oh, thank you for.
But don't worry, I won't tell anybody else. So
yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. But this is AWCS's birthday event, so I would say keep it on, y'all. You guys do so much fabulous work in the community, and it's so important. So
you should always celebrate your birthday. I know you told me you didn't really celebrate your birthday, but anyway, well, where the heck?
I'm starting to get a little bit nervous, actually. It's
like a few minutes after. It's after 7. Like, what the heck?
Yeah,
Hold on, let me check my email.
Did we start in the right place? Did you send me a link?
I did.
Like a separate, I feel like obviously we clicked on the same link.
No, like, well, yeah, we have the same link. Did everyone? Oh my God.
Did you turn on the meeting or?
Yeah, I turned on. I think I turned on the meeting.
Is that what we do? Do we turn on the meetings? Like, I don't know how these things work. I just show up and there's a meeting.
You know what? Let me just check with Precious. Maybe she forgot to send out the link to everybody. Oh my God.
Sarah's selling. Is she selling books, or is Owl's Nest they're here?
Yeah, Owl's Nest is our bookseller.
Okay, do you want me to text maybe Sarah too, just to see?
Well, yeah, we'll see who responds faster. I just texted Precious about the link. Like, what the heck?
Okay, I'm just gonna text Sarah if she can see us.
Right.
We think we're in. Does it say AW? Yeah, this is the account, right?
Yeah, it's the right account. I created the meeting.
Did anyone? Did no one show up?
There was like lots of people. Like we had like 30, 40 people. Like
where are
it was like amazing.
Actually, wait a second. Where are the readers, Robin? Wait, because we have a.
They should be here already too.
Shouldn't they have been in Tech Check?
Oh my God. Do we have the right day? What is today?
I have no idea. You texted me and asked me if I had shaved my neck. Because we were going to be on camera. Because I appreciate knowing ahead of time, and that's how I found out.
Oh my God.
What?
Precious just responded, asking where we are. This is freaking supposed to be in person. We're supposed to be at C-Space.
Physically.
Oh my God.
Ask her today. Ask her if it's today.
My heart is pounding. Like I don't even know what to do. Oh my God, it's totally today. Shit. Okay, I told her to stall them. All right, we gotta go. I'll meet you there.
Very irregular and very unprofessional of them, I'd just like to say. Don't they know that they're loved? Don't they know that we love them here? And maybe just a little bit of love will bring them into our midst, will bring them home. So can we feel the love in our hearts? And I'll just do this little song about love will lead us home. It's just total fill. I once held the earth and sky, baby, I once held you. Love's gonna lead me home. Honey, it makes my head spin, all the chances that I blew. Love's gonna lead me home. The world had turned so quickly now, there's no time to make amends. Love's gonna lead me home. All those broken promises gonna find me in the end. Love's gonna lead me home. Love gonna lead me home. Are you feeling the love? Maybe it'll bring them home. The higher I was flying, baby, the further I had to fall. Love's gonna lead me home. Moving across the borders caught me on the wrong side of the wall. Love's gonna lead me home. Love's gonna lead me home. Love gonna lead me home. Now this is definitely filler. We both took our chances, baby, before the roof fell in. Love's gonna lead me home. Let's put all that behind us now and start all over again. Love's gonna lead me home. Let's stop all this fussing, baby. Take back the things we said. Love's gonna lead me home. Let bygones be bygones, honey, and come on back to bed. Love's gonna lead me home. We can sing together. Love gonna lead me home. 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 Well, if we're feeling it, how come they're not here? So conjure up an image in your mind of Robin and PJ, and let's love them into the room, shall we? With a whole lot of love. And here they come. All right. We loved you into being.
Oh. Holy shit, there's people here.
We're not muted.
Oh. Hi.
Hi. Welcome.
Sorry we're late.
There was some confusion.
Oh, I don't know what to do with my... All right. Hi.
Happy birthday, AWCS.
Yeah, happy birthday. Welcome, everyone. Really weird being in front of people.
It's excruciatingly weird, to be honest, but I'm super humbled and honored to be here, and especially to play backup and be, the B-string talent that you brought in when Colin Martin said he wouldn't do it. So happy to be here, super excited.
You're awesome. I knew you'd be a great second. Anyway. Oh, okay. Can you hear me now? What now?
Oh, is it my thought we crossed that out. I'll read your line. Coincidentally, we're here to celebrate birthdays. It happens to be Philip's birthday. AWCS is
I changed that line.
Anyway, okay.
My whole thing is all messed up now because of the confusion.
Let's do this thing. I want to start with a land acknowledgement. We wish to acknowledge the land on which we celebrate tonight as Treaty 7 land. It is in the spirit of respect and truth we recognize the traditional territories of the Blackfoot Confederacy shared with the Stoney Nakoda Nation, the Tsuut'ina Nation, and the Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3.
Thank you, Philip. Is this thing working? Okay, yeah. Good evening, everyone, now that we're actually here. Before we get started, I actually want to share a little story. Oh, I feel like I'm losing sound. I want to share a little story. A few weeks ago, I reached out to PJ to ask him to MC with me tonight. Is this thing supposed to be doing that? It started with a text. Hey, Mr. Vernon, are you doing anything on November 5th? His response, it's my birthday, so probably, but nothing set. What's up? I explained what I wanted him to do, teased him with possible birthday shenanigans after the event, and then dead silence for 24 hours. Now, for me, if it was my birthday, that would be a hard no. But I finally got a message, I'd love to do this. And later I found out he doesn't really care about birthdays. So, since I am someone who likes to celebrate birthdays, and tonight is all about birthdays, can we please give PJ a resounding happy birthday? To you.
I was already
Happy
sweaty.
Birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear PJ. Happy birthday to you. Please note.
Yes, it feels that way.
Brian Pearson obviously plays Happy Birthday better than I do. So.
Thank you so much.
So did I. Anyway, he plays it far better than me. Thank you all for coming, now that that part's out of the way. Where am I? I have notes, and I lost my spot. Okay, this is our very first in-person event in like 2 years. I think the last time we all got together to celebrate was the Christmas party of 2019. You know, snow lightly falling, writers and loved ones gathered 3 floors above. There was laughter and games and gift baskets and hugs. How we all missed the hugs. Anyway, we're back. And so happy to be here with all of you. I've had the unique privilege of being involved with AWCS for nearly 20 years. I've seen the AWCS as the small little group of about 100 members nestled in the basement of the Alexandra Center in Inglewood, laughing and talking about writing with other writers, learning craft, sharing ideas. I've seen us as we began to grow and change, not just in numbers, but in programming. Back in those days, we didn't have youth programs. Thanks to the dedication of Kim Firmston and some ambitious, committed children, we slowly implemented a program that began with a couple of kids, and by the time we began exploding at the seams, adults and kids were stumbling over one another to change classes. I was there when we moved to this wonderful building, no longer in the basement, appreciating natural light and consistent heating more than I ever thought possible. We are so proud of what we've accomplished. From barely 100 members 2 decades ago, we are now over 600, and almost 100 of those are youth. By a show of hands, even though I really can't see you, how many of you are new members within the last year? There's got to be some out there. in 2 to 5 years, how many have been awesome? How about?
Oh, that's me. Sorry.
Yeah, there you go. More than 10 years. There's a few. That's okay. You're in there. It's all right. Many of you are here tonight, and those watching the live stream. Did I mention we're live streaming to the world? Last I checked, there were 16 people, but that's okay. A lot of you I've known for a long time. Some of you I've only met in the last few years. Others I don't know at all, but I guarantee eventually I will. of our staff as well. I've made wonderful friends along the way, ones who I will cherish forever. To this day, the one thing that has never changed about AWCS is this sense of community, the openness to explore new ideas, to welcome everyone who wants to write through our doors with open arms. Writing is hard. Putting yourself out there is hard. Now imagine the additional challenges when there has not been space for you. AWCS is committed to creating a community where all writers, no matter background, disabilities, ethnicity, color of skin, sexual gender orientation, can feel comfortable sharing their writing, learning the craft, and connecting with others on similar journeys. If COVID has taught us anything positive, it's that need for us to slow down and pay attention. Equity and equality, truth and reconciliation, ways that we can contribute to positive change and transformation in the world. That's what writing is about anyway, isn't it? Sharing our words, our ideas, our thoughts, making people think, act, respond, and understand. AWCS has made great strides in the last few years, beginning to recognize where we have been failing. We have the most diverse board of directors and staff we have ever seen. Remember when I said our youth program started with a few committed children? Some of those children are now adults and are serving on our board of directors. How amazing is that? We're actively seeking a broad range of instructors from all backgrounds. We have created internal and external opportunities for those writers who need it most through teaching and presenting opportunities, specific programs such as Diverse Voices Roundtable, and completely revamping the Own Voices program. We know we're not there yet, but we are committed to continuing to strengthen our community to be the most inclusive that it can be. This anthology, which I forgot to bring up and, matches my clothes, is a celebration of how far we've come, how we've changed, how we will continue to foster that commitment to community and celebrating writers of all genres. This project started back in 2019. We received so many wonderful submissions and deliberated hard to make the selections that you will find in this book. We have poetry, creative nonfiction, and fiction, some weird and off-kilter. Oh, there's a copy. Some science fiction, some contemporary. It really reflects who we are, and it's all of you who made it possible. We hope you enjoy it.
So with that, I think we're ready for our first
We have
reader.
lots of people to read, so we might as well get started because
Yes.
Philip and I have wasted most of your time already.
So it's my absolute pleasure to introduce our very first reader of the evening, Vivian Hansen. Vivian has 4 books of poetry, most recently A Bitter Mood of Clouds and A Tincture of Sunlight. She teaches creative writing with AWCS and the University of Calgary. Let's give it up for Vivian! It's great to see you again. Oh, whoops.
I'm going to find an interesting way and proper way to do this. Okay, and I'm going to turn my mic off.
I can't see you, but I am just so pleased I'm in the company of real people again. And it's absolutely wonderful to have human comfort here. It's fantastic. So, I just wanted to get ethnic on you here. And these 2 poems, one of which appears in Wondershift, is about my mother. And she used to tell me about something that called dog days with us, but it has deep sacral meaning in Scandinavia. My Danish mother says, "This is the word for dog days, sound the howl between full moons of July and August. A searing time when heat waves slow air and logic retreats into shadow. Hundown, says my mother, when fickle hot days cling to her immigrant throat, translate language into foxtail burr on Immigrant Street. Blackiston Drive in 1961, colonial Calgary. Prairie sloughs dry like a wasted tongue spew foxtails, a new Canadian word for destiny, for the shape of the dog that shifts in August wind. When the fox runs too fast and loses her tail, ejects her scent. A dozen words for Hundau, Camouflage, invisible, clever, stealthy, persistent, sticky as awns. English dries my mother tongue with the others who live on this street, the ones who plant potatoes in their front lawn, a cheap root vegetable for a brutal Calgary winter, defying the waste of seeded grass, inedible as this new language. Hundau, the word for how you begin with $500 worth of government incentive, build homes over a dry slough, comb the tails of stealthy fox, leaning like puppies against your ankles. These foxtails are the totem of immigrants who shift and settle with the prairie wind, foxtails that fly during Hundau, understand themselves as a life force, resist permission to move, to lie still, to land in the habitat of Calgary prairie. Between Hundau howls, potato wool rows, knit root vegetables into this new Canadian soil. So this is the One in Wonder Shift, a great collection. Mapping lilacs in rain. A mauve star dares to touch my mother's black hair. We amble on a quiet Crescent Heights street hedged in lilacs. Maybe it's June 1960. A round number year before a waxing summer solstice, and so close to my birthday. A thunderhead looms in the east, and she names it as a dire worry. Viskogoyemno, as she points to the sky in a teachable moment. Thunder is a god in her tongue, and I know the danger. It is about to rain and thunder. Yes, we will go home right away, although we have barely begun to walk. I think she clutched my hand, like the hold of her palm squeezing lilacs. The scent she drew in was the same breath as my own in that moment. 50 years of lilacs and words and rain, and her final halted breaths beneath a mask of wet. And this is how she comes to me in June, a few weeks after her death, as a scent, a few Danish phrases, her cloudy voice. Now I walk these streets, each summer catching the attention of people who ask me, "What are you looking for?" I shake my head and smile, filled with the scent of French lilacs. Ba min moa, I think in Danish, before I respond with a phrase that gives me away as a strange woman, but a bit less crazy. Just a mother, I say, to throw them off the scent. Thank you.
Thank you. Is it? Yeah, it's working. Thank you, Vivian. There's this new thing we have to do that we're not used to now after people are reading. So anyhow, I don't know if she touched anything, but just to protect the next person, and I can't see a darn thing. All right. The next person is Wendy Ireland. Wendy knows that parenting can sometimes be a dog's breakfast. There were times when she didn't know if she was coming or going. Wendy writes creative nonfiction, often about motherhood. Tonight, she will read part of Doggone It, which is in the anthology. Wendy, I'm trying to
Thank you, Robin. Lorraine, it's time for bed, I said. She scampered over on all fours and looked at me. Ruff, ruff. I reached down and ruffled my 4-year-old daughter's hair. Come on, let's brush your teeth. I headed towards the bathroom. She lunged for my leg and sunk her teeth into my slipper. What are you doing? She started to growl and tug. I continued down the hallway, dragging her wiggling form. Loren, that's enough, she whimpered. I bent down. Hey, little puppy, can you please find my daughter Loren? She started to woof and tear away at my clothes. Really, I sighed. Let's go read a story. Loren pulled blankets and pillows into the corner of her bedroom. She circled round and lay down. After story time, I asked her to hop up into bed. Instead, she curled into a ball on the floor and closed her eyes. I knew she had an amazing imagination, so I shook my head and turned out the light. The next morning, while my 2-year-old son Johannes and I made breakfast, I felt something lick my leg. We had a dog, but when I looked down, Loren sat at my feet, panting. Johannes jumped off the stool and squatted in front of her. Woof, she said. He laughed like this was the funniest thing he had ever seen. Having been born in Ethiopia, Johannes's first 2 years weren't particularly funny. His parents had died before his first birthday, and a year later, my husband Ward and I received an adoption referral for Johannes. We traveled to Ethiopia to bring him into our family of 5. 3 months after Johannes arrived, late summer slipped in on an evening breeze, and Loren became a dog. The day that Johannes and I were making breakfast and Loren licked my leg, I played along. What child hasn't played make-believe? I took our plates to the table where Johannes and I sat down. Loren sat in front of the dog's food dish. That's enough, Loren. Come to the table. She whined. I looked into her determined eyes. I served her plate of scrambled eggs and toast on the floor. Over the next few days, Loren showed the kind of commitment to being a dog that I showed to cultivating attachment with Johannes. She mimicked our dog, Abby. When Abby drank from the dog food dish, so did Loren. If I threw a ball for Abby, Loren brought me a dog toy in her mouth. One day, Loren loped out the front door and came back in as my girl. Hi, Mama, she said, as if she'd been playing in the yard. I went over to help her with her shoes. You know Christy, Loren said. Is she in your class? I asked. Mom, Christy's a dog. A dog? She woke up one day and her family was gone. Where'd they go? I don't know. Christy looked around, but she couldn't find them. Later that day, Loren bounded over to me with a leash in her mouth. Really, Loren? She barked. What? She barked. What? Ah, you're Christy. She picked up the leash. You want to go for a walk? The corners of her mouth lifted. Oh boy. I put a collar around her waist. I didn't want to choke her and clicked the leash into place. Johannes walked our dog Abby. I held the leash attached to Loren, who ambled down the street on all 4s. Before we'd left our cul-de-sac, I saw the neighbor returning from his walk. I stared at the ground. Maybe he won't see us. Good morning, he said. Woof, barked Christy. I shuddered. I'm sure he went directly home and looked up the number for Child and Family Services. Thank you.
It's thrilled to introduce our next reader, Rochelle Pinot. Rochelle Pinot's writing has been published in the Globe and Mail, Litro Magazine, The Maynard, Freefall Magazine, Filling Station, Dressing Room Poetry, 2/3 North forthcoming, and many other journals and anthologies. She has been longlisted for the 2018 Commonwealth Short Story Prize, and her work has been produced for CBC Radio. Give it up for Rochelle. Woo!
It's very bright. Thanks for coming, everyone, especially to my surprise guests. Appreciate it. I'm going to read from Fake Off. It's a fiction story that's in the Anthology. Our 50-inch TV screen shows a huge blue balloon with cursive white lighting. It's easy to get into a Ford. My son, Mason, repeats the slogan 3 times. He sits transfixed through the commercials, as attentive as to his cartoon episodes. He doesn't get any of the jokes in his shows, or at least he doesn't laugh. Mason is famously serious. The week before, he taught me that our TV is never actually off. The little red light stays on, meaning the TV is still receiving signals, or is in listening mode, what techies call fake off. At 9 years old, Mason knows more about technology than I do. You were always better with him than me. One bright Saturday morning, with the sun warming our kitchen table, Mason and I worked on a giant puzzle of Luke Skywalker, his favorite. Mason did most of the piecing together while I made little piles of color, separating the blue of a Jedi ghost from the greenish-blue burn of Luke's lightsaber. So, what should we get up to today? I was instructed to talk to him while he works. It's good for him to try to listen while doing something else at the same time. Dr. Vanessa, our latest psychologist, said that multitasking builds connections in the prefrontal cortex of his brain. She gave me 3 pages of new strategies. Meanwhile, you were still asleep, draped like a teenager across the bed, last night's hair wax mashed in all directions. I never minded when you slept in on the weekends, or if you stayed out late. It was the only time I wasn't in your fun shadow. That particular Saturday morning when you finally woke up, you came sailing out of the bedroom, X-wing fighter in hand, shooting, pew, 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 and Mason was gone, just gone. A handful of puzzle pieces scattered to the floor around my feet, various shades of blue. I wanted to tell you that you're a good father, and that I'm okay with being second place. Whatever is best for Mason. You laughed more than me, Mr. Happy-Go-Lucky. Sometimes I couldn't stand to be around you. And now, I miss the way you evened me out. Sure, we've seen progress with Mason, but he still switches from anger to tears to glee 1 second to the next, like flipping channels. How should I respond? I should know what to do. Dr. Vanessa tried to explain why Mason's brain gets overloaded. Just wait it out, she said, looking back and forth between us. When Mason gets this way, be consistent in how you employ the strategies. Be consistent. Now that's a laugh. You and I were always polar opposites in how we parent Mason. Who knows what's going on at your place? Mason told me there's a woman there named Julie over for supper last week. He said she's prettier than me. He said it just like that, a fact. I've stopped wondering if you're coming back. Maybe you can shrug everything off because you think I'm doing the heavy lifting. The truth is, sometimes I need to walk away from Mason. You probably expect more from me, but now and then I go and sit on the front steps. I stay out there a long time until Nora, across the street, takes her Scotty dog for a walk. She lights her evening cigarette, the red tip glowing as she ambles along, and I feel the chill air settle on my shoulders. It's the worst feeling, like leaving a baby crying in his crib. My body throbs with guilt, but sometimes this is the only thing left to do. I walk out of the room to keep Mason safe. Thank you.
Did you forget? So, real world COVID problems now, you know? Where did I put my mask? Which pocket? All right, our next reader. someone I love to listen to who creeps me out all the time. Shane Croach. Shane an introspective fiction. He also likes to build projects out of old junk, paint sad little blanket ghosts, ride vintage bikes, and shake his butt while the vinyl spins. show his butt. Please don't do that in our next Zoom meeting.
Oh, hi, people I can't see. I'm going to read an excerpt from my story Identity, which is in Wondershift. Daria continues on, admiring each hat as she comes back around the circle. At a grouping of heavy branches, she pauses. A squeak escapes and she reaches in. A teal wool hat with a slight upturned brim and an intertwined leather band emerges. Daria holds it up for my approval. I force a smile. It's nice. It's a cloche. She turns it in her hands, inspecting every detail. An old one, too. I always wanted one. Biting at her lip, she places it on her head. Her posture relaxes. She sets one leg out straight to the side, raises a hand, and cups her elbow with the other. Her face is drawn, and dark eyes turn on me. I look to the path out of the clearing, and for the first time, notice how long the shadows are. It's getting dark. We should go. Daria cocks her head. Should we? Yeah, we should. I don't know. Maybe you ought to try something on first. She motions a slack finger over my shoulder. That bowler over there is nice. No, I'm good. I think it would suit you. Look, I'm pretty sure the bathrooms were the other way, so maybe we could, maybe. Plus, I'm thinking it's time for another beer. Daria pushes her lips out. A drink would be aces right now. She looks to her empty fingertips. A cig would be nice too. Words hang in my throat. I've never seen Daria smoke before. Can you just put the hat back so we can go? She tilts her head forward and runs a finger across it. I don't know. I'm quite fond of it. I'm serious. Take it off. She's watching me. Not once does she blink. Daria, take the hat off. At first she is still. Slowly, though, the hand under her elbow comes up. It passes over her face to grab the brim of the hat and rests it at her side. Happy? I uncross my arms and storm away. At the edge of the clearing, I look back. She hasn't moved. Daria, I swear. She scowls. All right, I'm coming. Daria raises her hand and pauses. Her lips move like she's talking to herself. A slow smile comes, then she eases the hat back into the branches. When she faces me, her hands are behind her back. The smile doesn't reach her eyes. Go on then. I turn and start walking after I see her take the first step. I'm barely out of the clearing, but stop at the flick of a branch. Daria breathes in, sharp and quick. The exhale is slow and ends in a growl. I glance back. Are you okay? Daria is standing next to me. She's wearing the bowler and glaring with her jaw askew. I'm fine, love. But on second thought, I think I'll stay for a while. She holds the cloche over my head, and you should too.
I'm back. This is the point of the program where we are actually going to take a break. Feel free to get up, refill your beverages, buy more books. A lot of our contributors have books. Bathhouse is available.
you know, lots of other contributor books. And yeah, get more snacks, and we'll come back shortly, about 10 minutes. And for those at home with the live stream, there will be a short video played for them. Or they can go get coffee too.
I don't know if this ever happens to you, probably not. You know, you're in the middle of writing a piece. It could be a poem, it could be a short story, it could be a novel. You could be deep into this thing, and at some point, it suddenly occurs to you to ask, what is this about? And I'm sure I'm the only one who ever experiences that, but here's what gives me comfort. I know that if I'm in the middle of something and I have to stop and ask myself, what's this thing about? I know that that's the exact question my readers will be asking. And so it gives me a certain amount of confidence, like we're united together in this, I have no idea what he's talking about. Anyway, this isn't a song about that, but it was just a way of introducing the song, which is called How the Story Goes. Sits beside the bed as her mommy dies. Takes her dolly's hand and reaches up to dab her daddy's eyes. She's forgotten more in youth than we will ever know. Children lead us to ourselves. Is this how the story goes? I don't know how minds grow old. Just wanna see how this story goes. How the story goes. Faithful gather in their throngs. They pray to God for wars to cease. But as their words collide above, do we get a moment's peace? Moving mountains to the sea, mighty deeds by mighty wills. What they need, surely this is better still. I don't know how blessings flow, just wanna see how this story goes. How the story goes. I've known mercy, I've known grace. I know that I've been loved. Kinder thoughts arise from this than anything I'm guilty of. The soul that's rooted in the earth already knows that it's been saved. Thundering o'er my head can make me fear the grave. I don't know what heaven holds, just wanna see how this story goes. How the story goes. We walk and wonder where we are. We scan the stars at night. But our feet are guided on by a surer, lesser light. I don't know how it all unfolds. Just wanna see where this story goes. story goes, how the story goes, how the story goes. Thank you. Thank you. Surely one of the hardest things about this writing business is the fact that whatever our genre, whatever our topic, all we can ever do, all we can ever hope to do is evoke, because we'll never get it right. We'll never get the details right of the particular moment that we want to convey. So it's always just this sense of something fleeting, and you're trying to not capture it, but just evoke it. And this is certainly true in our personal lives as well. Whenever, like, I lived for 2 years on the coast. I had the wonderful privilege of living in the little hamlet of Ucluelet, which is just down the highway from Tofino. And I'm not a crier, but when I drove away from that place, the tears were running down my face, because I knew, damn, the next time I'm here, I come as a tourist. And it's true. You know, every time after that I had to, you know, afford to rent a place, and I lived there. It took me 2 years to figure out how I could convey something of that wondrous experience in the lyrics of a song. So that's what this is about, but you can supply your own details about your own favorite place, and good luck is what I'd want to say, trying to evoke it. Morning mist by the dew drops is kissed, and the cloud slowly lifts from the mountain. In the great forest tall leans the last tree to fall, as the wind's whisper calls. Nothing is for certain. Churns and swirls at this meeting of worlds, where I gaze all the way out to the horizon. The sun sets ablaze, but my eyes turn away as I think of the day of my dying and my rising. born breeze, and the eagles fly high over the harbor. My feet touch the ground, and from my heart breaks the sound, for I know that one day I'm bound to leave here. Thank you.
Brian, y'all. Brian Pearson is a writer, musician, and the producer of the Mystic Cave podcast. He is a former Anglican priest, and the church is now behind him, but his interest in human spirituality is as passionate as ever in all its infinite variety. Brian will not be reading tonight, but he does have a wonderful piece in Wonder Shift called Burying the Dead that I encourage you all to read. Or if you want to listen to him read the very first episode of the Mystic Cave podcast, he shares his story. So y'all go check it out, like, subscribe. And it's my pleasure to introduce our next reader, Lori Furr. Lori Ann Furr is a poetry instructor, board member, and Wonder Shift editor who also writes songs and plays music. Her poems appear in the 2021 anthology, Uncommon Grounds from Espresso Poetry Collective, in her 2018 collection, Night Flying, and were recently heard on CKUA Radio. Welcome to the stage.
Thought I'd dive onto the stage instead of off it this time. I thought I might actually share two poems that are not in Wonder Shift and hope to make you curious enough to want to see what's inside. My poem in this book is called How to Be Two Saxophones. So I have a couple of, it's been a highly anthological year. I have a couple of poems in other anthologies. As PJ mentioned, this is Uncommon Grounds. This also sort of came out of, well, it did come out of AWCS, but was independently published, and we workshopped it over the pandemic, a group of us that came together through a poetry class, and I only have 4 minutes, I'm speaking really quickly. So I'll share a poem from this book. Forest Drive, for my parents. 10 years ago, Mom and Dad's forest was cut down for condos not yet built. The forest of Forest Drive raised like a mall Santa's beard after Christmas, buzz cut by sawzalls. Empty space crouched a while, waited for a home, for many homes, walls, windows, and doors with life within to replace life lost. Nature refurbished the space, infilled it with huge ferns, furnished it with couches of moss on boulders, draped curtains of boughs on verdant vistas, threw plush snow throws everywhere when it got cold. Oh, right. House of the forest, replaced by a mansion of forest richer than any oil barons, doors wide open to share wealth with any who come inside. On the bluff, 2 orphan snowmobiles wait for riders who might never return, parents whose footprints only trouble the stillness when a crust of edge falls in. Okay, this is a different anthology. This is hot off the presses from the Wine Country Writers Festival Anthology 2021. And with thanks to Josephine Lowray, who happened to be the judge and didn't know this was my poem. Evolution of the word, too. In the beginning was the word, or was it a grunt? There was one word and it meant everything. God, existing before the people she made who invented language, gave a high holy oomph, and the power came on. Grunted again, and Adam and Eve had to find some clothes, rent an apartment. Before it even found the mouth of God, the word learned to walk before it could run, but first it swam. The word swam around a while, figured out different kinds of swimming, the front stroke, the back stroke, strokes of genius. The word grew nubs. Evolution is the distance between two states of being, between tadpole school and nubamentary. The word wasn't the best student, yet inevitability worked in their favor. Nubs got longer, sprang feet, wet and webbed. They grew a spine, then feet. Legs developed to relieve awkwardness. All that studying paid off even before currency was invented. The word was rich with growth. That was when God opened her mouth and sucked in like a great vacuum, or like she was trying to suck a milkshake out of a skinny straw because they'd run out of the wide ones, or like every volcano erupting backwards. Into her mouth went the grunt that would become the word that made the world. In a word, we made her. Now the word was hers to make us with. Thanks so much. Happy birthday, AWCS.
I was actually hoping this time I wouldn't have to wipe the microphone. But anyway. It is very weird. Anyway. Good job, Robbie! Super weird. I know everyone's thinking it. I always love listening to Lori read, and who hasn't tried to suck milkshake through a straw that was way too small? Anyway, our next reader is Joy Nordstrom, and I can't even say her name anymore, who will be reading to us from her short story, Salt. Joy writes contemporary fiction about quirky people in awkward situations, only some of which is inspired by her own life. And she's got 2 books available out on the table, so if you haven't picked one up, you should. Joy!
Hello. I feel like now I have to, you know? Right somewhere. Okay. Mum's cousin Frank pulls up in his cherry red pickup. Mum says Frank is a man on his own. He doesn't have kids, and he certainly doesn't have a wife. He can do anything he wants, whenever he wants. I want to be a man on my own, too. Frank drives Mum crazy, but she needs his help. She needs his help every time we move. Frank's truck has 2 doors and a sliding window on the back that you push open with the palm of your hand. It doesn't have a back seat, so I get to sit in the front when we drive. Frank calls his truck Girl and says stuff like, load her up, and she's tough as shit. And Mum says, for God's sake, can we get this done? Mum does not like needing Frank. God damn it, Frank, you're squishing me against the wall. Mum and Frank are maneuvering my mattress out the apartment building. Frank's already outside, but Mum's still inside, smashed against the community bulletin board. It bends, Lydia. It's not a stiff board. Put a little muscle into it. Mum curses into the folds of my mattress, and I stand out of the way. It's not helpful to offer advice on moving day. That's right, Liddy girl. Get under her and shove. Charlie's nowhere around, but his little sisters are eating bananas and watching Mum try and move the mattress. Bananas must be on sale this week because Charlie's mum always buys loads of whatever is on sale. If my mum bought loads of fruit when it was on sale, would we still have to move? Ah, Liddy, How about I come over and give you a hand? It sure looks tough. I bet I could squeeze her through for you. Mom raises her face away from the mattress. Shut up, Frank, and gives a mighty heave. The mattress rams through the door, catches on the hinge, then finally swings through. Mom follows with a red face. She looks hot and angry. I step out of the way, quick and quiet. Quick and quiet is what's helpful on moving day. Frank whistles a long, high note. He gives me a wink, his face hidden behind the mattress so Mom can't see. He shuffles backward to the bed of his girl truck and says, "Hiya," to Charlie's banana-eating sisters. Metal wheels squeal on asphalt. We look up and see Charlie racing towards us on the back end of a grocery cart. Charlie thrusts his body as far over the side of the cart as he can without tipping. It's a sharp turn. The slope is carrying him faster and faster on two wheels, and I worry he might tip. But he hits the speed bump just right, and the cart soars. He flies over the hump and lands with a skitter on all four wheels. "Hey, kid, be careful around my truck. She's old, but she ain't." "That's Charlie," I cut in. "He's cool." Seconds later, the cart slams into the truck's grill. Mum freezes and I freeze, and Charlie's off before Frank can catch him. "Lord almighty," Frank yells. He's down on his knees, rubbing his girl with his sleeve, and I'm not sure what to do. After a time, Frank sits back on his heels. "Lydia, please tell me you've got beer." Mom gives me a nod and I run up the stairs, thankful Frank won't be killing Charlie today. When I return to the parking lot, Mom and Frank are sitting on the tailgate. I hand the six-pack to Frank and he cracks one open. After this load, we're all done. He takes a long gulp of beer. I nod. "We're getting good, Mom. Next time we'll be even faster." I look at Mom and hope this will make her happy. Right, next time. Mom looks at all our stuff in the back of Frank's pickup. Frank pats her on the back. "Stay at your mother's till you get things worked out. Then who knows? Maybe you'll find a place to settle down. Until then, my old girl has your back." Mom cracks open one of the beers for herself. At least someone does.
It's easier now. Just do it and get it over with. I'm pleased to be introducing our next reader, Laura Werschler. Laura Werschler took her first ever creative writing courses at AWCS back in the early 80s. Her piece in Wonder Shift is a standalone version of a story from her nearly completed memoir about her role as advocate and companion to her mother in deep old age. Please welcome to the stage, Laura. Way to go.
Welcome, everyone. Problems. My mother's smile. Just after 1, we walked down the long corridor to my mother's room. My son has been here many times before. He could have found his own way through this labyrinthine facility, but today I need to be here with him. This will be the last time he sees his grandmother. My only child is home for a short visit after traveling in Southeast Asia. His tanned face glows beneath the black wool toque he borrowed from his dad to ward off the January cold. He claims to hate Alberta winters now. He's eager to get back to Victoria, where he has a job waiting. At the door to her room, he takes the lead, strides in and over to his grandmother, reclining in her lazy boy. Snuggled under a mohair throw, she looks ready for an afternoon nap. I count my mother's age in years and months now, 95 and 6. "Hi, Grandma," he calls out. "It's me, Jake." He knows her hearing is muffled and her vision blurred. They are both cancers, both nurturers, especially of each other. "Oh, Jake," she says, "I'm so happy to see you." She does not try to stand. Her legs, propped on a pillow, are now chronically swollen. Instead, she reaches out her arms, and my son bends down to give her a gentle hug. I'm focused on her face, puzzled. She looks like one of those desiccated applehead dolls with the wizened old lady features. Her top lip wraps loosely around the curve of her gum. I interrupt the reunion with a sharp question. "Mom, where are your teeth? Your denture's missing."
It is, she asks, moving her hand to her mouth. I don't know where it is. Did you have it at lunch? Did you take it out? Is it in your chair? I move in close to her, bend over and slip my hands down the sides of her chair, which I'm certain has already swallowed a hearing aid or two. I push behind her to make a complete search of the recliner's nether regions. Not there. I march to her bathroom, hoping I'll find the missing teeth floating in the little yellow tub they spend the night in. Not there. I rush into the hall and call out to a personal aide. Ernest's teeth are missing. Jenny follows me back into the room. She shakes out the rumpled bedclothes. My mother must have had a morning nap. Looks around and under the bed. Not there. Did you check the trash, she asks. In the bathroom, Jenny grabs a pair of latex gloves and rifles through the refuse. Disposable underwear, scrunched up paper towels, discarded gloves. Not there. We've got to find them, I say, clenching my fists. They have to be somewhere. Jenny responds with professional calm. I'll check at the nurse's station, find out who worked with her this morning. I stomp about the room, trying to control my rising anger. I am determined my mother shall not lose her teeth, her means to eat, her lovely smile. The thought of what it will take to replace her denture electrifies me. My skin crackles. Jake sits beside his grandmother, watching me pace back and forth. He stands to face me and says, Mom, you've got to calm down. His head cocks to one side, and I recognize the look on his face, the one his adolescent self used to give me when he thought I'd lost it. I take a few deep breaths, then tell him I've been at this long enough to know when to make a fuss and when not to. This is the time to make a fuss. My mother has been dying slowly of old age in this long-term care community for nearly 3 years. By necessity and by choice, I have become not her parent, but a different kind of daughter, one whose role is more nuanced, more strategic. I am my mother's emissary, her diplomatic ambassador. I am her attaché, her advocate, her bulwark against advancing vulnerability. I am the one most responsible for protecting her comfort from calamity. I walk the hallways, looking left and right. Maybe she took them out and dropped them while the attendant wheeled her back from lunch. A set of false teeth shouldn't be hard to miss. Not there.
And if you want to know where they find the teeth, you got to read the rest of the story. Super fun. Thank you, Laura. I love that story so much. Our next reader. Oh, my pages are mixed up. Very excited about this one. Recently awarded this year's Writers' Trust Latner Prize for Poetry. And when I say recently, like 2 days ago. So you can tell he sent this bio just like, I think he was waiting. Wayman Chan feels blessed to be living on Treaty 7 territory in Mohkinstsis, among the kindest and brightest of Calgary's diverse writing community, along with his family and his 2 cats, Heisenberg and Faraday. Welcome, Wayman Chan.
Happy birthday to you. It was such an honor to be here, and I barely see people. And what an exciting time to have a public reading. Thanks so much to you guys, Robin and PJ, and so many of you that have, over the years, just put your souls into this wonderful organization that I am finally going to join today. Anyway, so I'm just going to quickly read the first part of this poem called Jazz. I'd like to draw a settlement over the roots of conflict once and for all, and say my piece on devotion. I've heard it said that Beethoven's Fifth, blared next to a hummingbird feeder, recently caused 2 males to collide, instantly impaling each other's hearts. Calliopes of nectar in the vast basal cisterns and calvaria of their brains made no difference. 2 dart-faced jewels sewn inside each other as they fell through numb parasols of lilac. Maybe it was their antiquation of the frail, cornered evening, enemies freed from their colors at last, or they were Hamlet, getting over destiny and slithering. And what do the stelae teach us? That wars are the mildest antidote to suffering. Look towards the humming birth of death, say the Aztecs, the gripping white on black star. I follow frost lines on trees that gray into morning, erasable smoke breath decipherable to the ancients. Their tongues went down with the sun dance to smoke their pipe with groundwater. Their spirit rose behind eggshell and snow, milk and clouds. On the corner of Elgin and Queen, beneath the banner of Mother Courage at the Art Center, a bearded guy in a Santa hat does half-turn jumps. I throw in a toonie and ask, why? His smile is wreathed in snow vapor, so I walk away, not knowing whether to believe him or not. Will clouds know to save us when earth boils in these last days of the open hand? Cool, reflective insulation, white, is the lapidary spectrum of all our shades of paint. Maybe white is our one pure metaphor for mind. Survival in the camps, said Primo Levi, depended on not becoming a nobody, yielding to the appendix on murder that someone's freedom through work holds you in the balance, yes. But in the meantime, he helped the system, prescribing remedies, translating German, Polish, and Russian. He became the polyglot pharmacist. So it's through extreme trial that you learn what hungers streak humanity, pure as sandalwood or persistent as a lingering afternoon, when the loose grab bag of stories begin and start to overflow. Thank you.
All right, so that's going to close out. Holy smokes. These readers tonight have been just incredible, and I know we've got another stretch of readers coming up, but we've got our last break, so stand up. Oh, there's cupcakes outside. Move around, have a good time, and most importantly, tell these folks who have shared their words with us tonight, how proud you are of them, and how amazing they have all read and delivered every single piece. Wow. Oh, sorry. Oh, whoops. Got it.
Because sometimes, yes, we're to comfort the afflicted, but sometimes we're to afflict the comfortable. As it really is, because we all know that in writing there has to be a certain amount of tension, and if there's nothing upsetting people, then there's no tension. So you got to upset them so you can give them, you know, the good stuff. I don't know. Anyway, that's just to say this is a song about upsetting people. The trickster in our midst is alive, and I think alive within the writing community. Looks like we're in for nasty weather. Looks like we're gonna get some rain. The skies are dark and full of woe, so batten down the hatches and let her blow. We'll sit right here, enjoy the show, come bring it on again. Looks like we've finally done it this time. Looks like we're really in a stew. We missed the boat, we botched the plan, jumped from the fire to the frying pan, running just as fast as we can, but hey, what else is new? Looks like we're in a spot of trouble. Man, I've been in trouble all my life. Lady Luck, she's gone and burst our bubble. Man, she ain't no lady, she's my wife. Looks like the wind's already blowing. Looks like that stronghold may not last. They all say it's such a fright, wakes you up with dread at night. We can all go fly a kite, don't let the moment pass. Looks like we're in a spot of trouble. Man, I've been in trouble all my life. Lady Luck, she's gone and burst our bubble. Man, she ain't no lady, she's my wife. Looks like that wind's already blowing. Looks like that stronghold may not last. They all say it's such a fright, wakes you up with dread at night. They can all go fly a kite, don't let the moment pass. They can all go fly a kite, don't let the moment, don't let it pass. Thank you.
All right, so continuing the evening, we've got Vina Nguyen. Vina is of wallpaper and walrus, crushingly insipid at times, yet shockingly hefty when on a roll. Please welcome Vina to the stage. Woo!
Thanks for reading that, PJ. I didn't realize it was such a tongue twister. I want to thank Lori for being the poetry editor for this anthology. I learned so much. This is actually my first poem that's ever been published, so yeah. The whole time she was editing, I was like, I'm pretending to know what I'm doing. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a good line. All right, here we go. Ouroboros. When I was alone, roads wound upon themselves, taking me far, taking me close. Back to ocean groans, bed of blue jazz, my fingers playing the keys of your spine, tapping crashes across your neck. Tracing those eyes, the ride, the thighs, tighten and tremble as I think of you. Curled on our bed of cracked granite, how it had molded to you, hardened, then fissured to your sadness. When did we become two caves howling into sheets, explosive exhalations of 4 a.m. insomnia, exchanging each other's you said, I said, exhaust till exhaustion coupled hate like crossed wires of black and red, traffic lights at odds and ends. You wanted to go, go, go. I wanted time to freeze to before we met. And then I flew away to think while you stayed in bed. I trampled sand, grass, asphalt, bridges, on feet, train, bus, bike, watched ants, jellyfish, smoke rise, while you stayed in bed, harnessed to a tomb, and I lived. Thank you.
Wow, Vina, great delivery. That was amazing. Thank you. Our next reader is, where am I on this list? Okay, Carrie Frame. Carrie is a lifelong writer, and this is her first published piece in a book. When not writing, working, or parenting, gotta hear ya, Carrie can be found wandering the woods or reading from the giant stack of books beside her bed. Please welcome Carrie Frame. There she is. I'm so blinded.
Oh, wow. Yeah. The piece in Wonder Shift is called The Birds Are Calling. It's creative nonfiction. I'm going to read from near the end, so a quick synopsis of the beginning is I started the piece by noticing a northern flicker woodpecker who was pulling a sparrow nest apart in my backyard. And around the same time, we learned that a friend of ours who had lost her whole family in a car crash had taken her own life. And the birds were my morning solace. We had hoped and prayed she would heal. Daily small victories kept us buoyant. She could get up out of bed and talk, even of the future sometimes. She took herself on cleansing runs, contacted a grief counselor, and made many other efforts to get through to the other side of loss. We stayed close, instinctively knowing she couldn't yet be alone. Not too close or tight, a cushion of grace all around her, room for her to breathe or wail or rail. For days after hearing of her choice, my jaw hung slack as disbelief and emptiness washed through me in alternating waves. There seemed no place for my mind to rest. I was deaf to all but the birds. Their trills and chirps flowed through the open window, and I felt less alone. In the earliest hours of daylight, after another night of twisted sheets and questions, the bird calls would pull me outside. Our small backyard in the spring bursts with budding trees, bushes, and shoots. Tiny green leaves all around me, bent in half, pushing up through cold soil. The sky only visible through a gap in a roof of green. There in the middle of the yard, wrapped in a blanket, my breath floating out before me, I would sit. I learned that the birds own the dawn hours before humans begin their bustling and banging. The air is filled with the whistle of their wings and the cacophony of their calls. Calling to what? For what, I wondered. Themselves? Each other? The sun? These questions were a relief compared to the ones my dear friend left behind. I didn't have to solve my sadness in the birds' world. All they asked of me was to sit quietly, watch, and listen. And so I obeyed for many hours, muted and still. The harangued house sparrows came back, perched outside their battered house, little black heads swiveling in their twitchy way. My mind and heart went into those birds. I could feel them, the parent in them. They may have eggs in the nest house already, or just the hope and plan for new life. I know that feeling, how ferocious and overwhelming the wish to protect can be. Sitting there safe and calm, my children asleep inside, I realized that I know nothing of anxiety and fear compared to those small feathered parents. I know nothing of grief and loss compared to my friend. My breath, birds' wings, petals drifting down like fragrant snow. With my heart going into a sparrow's breast, I finally began to understand my friend. Her wings weren't broken. They just had no one to fly for anymore. Our dear friend had been waking each morning to an empty nest, a ravaged, pulled apart, cold and lifeless tumble of debris. Not a single egg left, not even one weak chick to feed and comfort and fly home to again and again. No grubs to search for, no predators to ward off. We, her network of friends and family, had folded her in, even though our nests were full. She watched us flurry to and fro, tending to our young. How much deeper that must have made her ache. Through earth, past life, she chose in the end to let the eternal pull of mothering and hope for reconciliation lift her away. My head bows to my chest. Having breaths, heaving breaths, cleanse the questions from my mind. She went where she felt she was most needed. I cannot know for sure, but in this moment of birdsong and nests, it's all the answer I need to find peace.
Holy smokes. Wow. It's now my pleasure to introduce our next reader, Erin McDougall. Erin McDougall rediscovered her love of fiction writing while living in France, where she embraced the cliche of writing in cafes and parks. Joining the AWCS was one of the first things she did when she moved to Calgary in 2020. Please give a warm welcome to Erin.
Thank you so much. This is from my short story that's featured in Wondershift called Metro Signs. When Claire gets on the metro with Ethan at Edgar Quinet, the seated couple seems classically Parisian, impeccably dressed, aloof, and unimpressed. As she picks her way to the empty places opposite them, Claire bumps knees with the woman who rebuffs her self-conscious French apology with a cool roll of the eyes. Then she starts in on the man, jabbing her finger into his chest and screaming. Claire can't not watch this. She expects to hear Ethan laugh because this couldn't have been what he'd had in mind when he'd insisted that they take the metro. Trust me, babe, it's part of the whole Paris experience, he'd said, leading her past the sign and down the steps to the dank platform smelling of dirt, sweat, and urine. But Ethan's actual Paris experience involves playing games on his phone. Never mind that they had been planning this trip for, she can't remember how long. She seethes and shifts her gaze to the view. The view! This is why they came to Paris. She squints, catching the landmarks and searing them into her brain that split second before they're pulled behind the train's forward motion. But it's not enough to drown out the full-blown lover's spat barely 2 feet away. Non, écoutez, attendez! The woman pushes through the crowd by the exit as the train shudders to a stop. The doors are barely open and she's on her way, a portrait of outrage, striding away in high heels. Even the swoosh of her hair is indignant. How French. What was all that? Ethan asks, feeling for something in his pocket. The now ex slumps back in his seat, alone. He and his girlfriend just broke up. She just left, got off the train. Ethan smirks. Nice eavesdropping, madame. I wasn't. They were talking too fast. It's not like I heard everything, she bristles. And it's mademoiselle, not madame. So she just up and leaves? No goodbye? No au revoir? Claire shakes her head, ignoring the terrible French accent Ethan uses on purpose whenever he speaks. Nothing. She just took off. Maybe she's one of those people who believes in signs, he says, nudging her with his elbow. She cringes at the memory. You're never going to let that go, are you? Never. It's too big a compliment, knowing you stuck out a horrible class just for me. Cute girl, in tears after getting her second C on a presentation. Heeding the sign to drop French 101. When a cute boy with Justin Bieber hair, it was not Justin Bieber hair, and a French last name, Dubois, which, curiously though, he barely spoke a word of his mother tongue. It's the Smith of French last names, doesn't mean anything. Gives her Kleenex and a smile and says, just do the written assignment next time, trust me. And interpreting his kindness as the sign to stay, she stuck it out and fell in love with the Kleenex boy. As he always does at this part of the story, he leans in to kiss her, but this time Claire pushes him away. Not here, she whispers, indicating the newly single man and the empty seat. It feels wrong. Ethan rolls his eyes. Désolé. Claire squirms at how automatically she just jumped into retelling that story. Every punchline, every pause for Ethan to chime in, every smile or little jab at his old hairstyle is a note-perfect, tidy, well-rehearsed little anecdote. Their stories, her life, are like this train, scheduled, predictable, routine. What's a Trocadero, she asks loudly to push her thoughts away. That's where we're going, right? A mysterious little smile spreads across Ethan's face, and he pulls out his phone again. You'll find out soon enough. Thank you.
Teamwork. Have 8. Oh, have 8? What do I need 8 of them for? Aaron wasn't that messy. All right. Our final reader. Can you believe it? We got through the whole night and look how many people are still here. All right. Heidi Clausen is the Director of Programming for our adult classes here at AWCS. She is also currently finishing up her Professional Editing Standards Certificate from Queen's University and has 3 sons and 3 rescue chihuahuas. So it's really a miracle that she ever got this thing written in the first place. Give it up for Heidi.
Right. I'm going to read a piece called Been Caught Stealing, which was originally published in The Sprawl. And it's a nonfiction piece, and before I begin, I would just like to say I think it's a real testament to the influence that a great mentor and instructor can have on a writer. This piece was nominated for an award, and it's been twice published, and it originally started as a crow-picking exercise in a class I took with Vivian Hansen when I was in the UFC creative writing program. And I can absolutely say that this would not have evolved without her. So thank you, Vivian. I lived in the Lorraine for almost 4 years. 3 different apartments were my home, each brick and mortar cocoon providing transformation. Number 3, where I returned home from a whirlwind road trip to Lollapalooza in 1994, my studio apartment furnished with only a futon and a park bench. I changed out of filthy festival clothes, just in time to tend bar at the warehouse a few blocks away. Preferring to keep vampire hours, I was a fishnet-stockinged misfit whose lifeline was a nightclub known by outsiders as the Scare House. I moved on to number 27, home to a volatile relationship and some difficult life lessons. A place from which I learned death didn't arrive with the artful, poetic grunge of Kurt Cobain's suicide, where I found myself directing traffic on a street I never expected to cross, processing the inevitable results of a decade when X wasn't just the name of my generation, and HIV meant you only had a few songs left in the mosh pit. At last, number 46, my birthplace as a student of art and the beginning of the rest of my life. The living room window from which my black cat, named Phoenix after River's untimely Halloween overdose outside the Viper Room, fell 4 stories to the parking lot below while I watched Friends. After donations from family and fellow Lorraine tenants, I coughed up my beer money to have the cat's mangled leg amputated. As a tripod, she was a mascot for my own dismembered spirit. This last apartment was the starting point of a transformation. If I believed in destiny, I would say I was destined to live in number 46, so I could now be here. Built in 1912, the 4-story red brick walk-up was, to me, admission into the life I intended to lead. As a little girl growing up in conservative Calgary, its 3-level portico left me dreamy with visions of life as an artist, a writer, a dancer, dangling one leg in front of the terracotta frieze on 12th Avenue, emblazoned with the Lorraine. I imagined who might sit there and what kind of life they could lead. It was the type of life I desired, replete with art and freedom. Original brick buildings in Calgary are rare. Brick is foreign to us on the prairies, a luxury. It's that dress kept in the dry cleaning plastic for special occasions. I understood this early on. As someone would later tell me, I had a hard-on for old brick buildings, especially this one. In the early 1990s, the Lorraine was an urban castle, an edifice of liberal ideology and artistic expression. The rumors swirled about how to gain access to the coveted apartments with their hardwood floors and original wainscoting. It was said there was a waiting list, a secret society. You had to know someone, sleep with someone, be in art school, work at a certain bar or cafe. The larger 2-bedroom apartments were things of legend, only 8 in existence, their tenants determined to dwell until the grave. The truly unattainable, the rare gems of the building, were the 2 bachelor suites on the 4th floor, the only apartments in the building with private brick balconies. One faced west, nudging itself into the bland office building next door. The other looked east, unobstructed, embracing every sunrise. This was number 46, the Unicorn. By the time I moved into number 46, I had entered the Lorraine 1,000 times, past the brass mailboxes in the vestibule, across the black and white checkered battleship tiles, and up the central staircase. The halls were filled with scents, but not the usual food smells of a regular apartment building. Aromas like incense, pot smoke, paint thinner, and fermenting beer bottles clung to the worn carpets in the upper hallways. There was a period of a month or two that introduced the gradually increasing pungency of someone's long-dead cat in an unreachable nook of the basement, also known as the official rehearsal headquarters for local freak show Virtual Insanity. But that's a story for another time.
Oh, I think you forgot the... It's your turn to wipe the mic, Philip. I just want to say, I think your love of brick, is it the same as sandstone? Is that why you wanted to work here? Well, Philip does that. Thank you again, everyone, for coming tonight, and those who are watching from home or across the country. The Anthology and Party would not have been possible without the support of Calgary Arts Development and our committee and editors, Mariah Loza-Kozan,
Laurie D. Roadhouse, Lorianne Fuhrer, Sue McClarty, Alex Clark, Connie Donahue, Madeline Shawong, and Heidi Clausen. Got some practice with editing. Also, huge thank you to Kaylee Canary for the cover. This cover is beautiful, amazing. So thank you so much. Our party planning committee, Laura Werschler, Wendy Ireland, Carrie Frame, Jessica Waite, Joy Nordstrom, Connie Donahue, Susan Forrest, and Rochelle Pino. Also thanks to our volunteers helping out today, Robert Bose on bar, wherever he is. Brian Pearson on music, of course. And a huge thank you to the staff of AWCS. Kim Firmston, Heidi Clausen, Precious DeLeon. I mean, we really could not have gotten here without all of this support. And also to our current board of directors and all the boards that came before in the last 40 years. This is amazing. And of course, the biggest thank you goes to you, our members, past, present, and future. I don't know if they're watching or not, but we couldn't do it without you. So thank you so much. And I think Philip has some words.
And before we go, to close out the night, I would invite all of us. I don't have a glass, I realize.
I have a beverage.
Raise your, I can raise my mask or this, but raise your glasses in celebration of Alexandra Writers Center Society and this organization's profound role in our city's arts and culture sector, and more importantly, in the hearts and, as you've seen tonight, so very wild imaginations of its members. So on behalf of every single one of us who has ever written, who has ever taught, who has ever laughed, who has ever cried, who has ever stumbled, who has ever read, and above all else, who has ever dreamed, cheers and happy birthday, AWCS, and thank y'all for what you've given us tonight.
Philip, we're going to hug.
Everybody came out tonight. We all win.
We're going to hug you all. Before we leave, one more time, Brian Pearson is going to close us out with another song. So.
Well, hopefully nobody tomorrow morning will have a vulnerability hangover for having read tonight, because it takes a great deal of courage, and especially those who had to wait until the last section. It's sort of isn't it a writer's lot in life that you put a lot out there, whether it's live or on the page, and off it goes, and you wonder, how did I do? Even Oprah said that every guest she'd ever had on her show, no matter how important, how big, how famous they were, as soon as the cameras were off, turned to her and said, "How did I do?" So this is a song about that, and it seems appropriate to go out. You did, okay. Which is sort of all the world ever gives you. So you better just love the writing process. Did I talk too much for the time I was given? Was I too loud? Was I too driven? Will the angels be happy to welcome me home? Did I take too much space for the chambers provided? In my deeds and intentions, was I divided? Will the angels be happy to welcome me home? me home. Did I fight too hard for my place at the table? Give too much attention to the strong and the able? Will the angels be happy to welcome me home? Did I hold out too long? Did I give in too soon? Did I abandon my post when the fiddler tuned? Will the angels be happy to welcome me home? Will the angels be happy to welcome me home? Will the daisies bow down in their beds round the throne? Will the angels be happy to welcome me home? Did I fail to deliver on promises tender? Fall short of the finish of services rendered? Will the angels be happy to welcome me home? Did I take too much time to learn all my lessons? Did I squander my faith with my second guesses? Will the angels be happy to welcome me home? Did I harden my heart to the love that sustained me? Did I rush past the guides who were sent to restrain me? Will the angels be happy to welcome me home? Did I fail to commend the faith that is in me? Did I play to the crowd for the love it would win me? Will the angels be happy to welcome me home? Will the angels be happy to welcome me home? Will the daisies bow down in their beds round the throne? Will the angels be happy to welcome me home? Thank you.